The state of Missouri was built on the backs of hardworking men and women looking for a better place to call home. But brawn wasn't all it took. Our state's rich history was also established thanks to challenging young minds and a desire to foster scholarship. Following World War II, and in large part due to the GI Bill, enrollment at Missouri higher education institutions increased significantly. In fact, throughout the 20th century, Missouri's commitment to education was strong and steadfast, and our economy prospered as a result. But with tough economic times, state funding priorities have shifted over the last 10 years. As tax rolls sharply decreased with greater numbers joining the ranks of the unemployed, state and federal lawmakers had to make difficult budget cuts. In fact, an annual study of state spending on higher education found that state appropriations for colleges and students sunk by 7.6% from 2011 to 2012, the largest such decline in at least half a century. Missouri's higher education system has sustained deep and painful cuts, prompting institutions to pull back, increase tuition costs, and add to the debt burden of families. Now, Missouri finds itself in a race to the bottom. As recently as 2008, Missouri ranked 47th in per capita appropriations for higher education. Missouri ranked 46th in appropriations per $1,000 of personal income. And Missouri ranked 49th in the change of state appropriations from fiscal year 2002 to 2007. This is not a race we want to be in. This is a race toward inadequate numbers of college graduates, a race toward an unprepared workforce, a race toward a less prosperous economic future.
And I'm hearing concerns even now from employers about going forward, because it is all about talent. It's all about talent retention and talent attraction. And yes, there are concerns about availability of qualified workforce going forward, no question about it.
Well, we're creating other debt. We might not be state debt today, but we're creating other debt. We're creating student debt. We're creating parent debt. We're creating, the ability of those schools to meet their obligations, and those aren't any better for the state than the state figuring out something else it needs to cut.
In fact, cutting higher education funding and making it more difficult for Missourians to advance their education level hurts our ability to bounce back from this economic recession.
There's nothing more important for a state or a community to do than invest in education and transportation. It's the best thing we can do for economic development.
And our tax rolls won't be the only thing to suffer without a robust higher education system. Our businesses will hurt too.
So the most important thing that can happen to us long term is that the next new grad is a great kid ready to go.
Missouri business leaders know that the lack of state support for higher education is hurting their ability to recruit and retain a workforce capable of helping our companies compete in a global economy. And because college graduates make up the majority of small business owners, we are crippling our economy by not supporting future entrepreneurs.
And if a kid's not ready, if they're not ready either from a talent point of view or from an understanding how hard it is to work here, point of view, it's very costly. It's easily a year's salary. It's easily all the time that it took to recruit them and bring here. And engineers have big signing bonuses and moving expenses, et cetera, et cetera. Not to mention, I lose that spot for a whole year. I have to wait probably until the next May to find that next kid who can fill that spot. So I need the state to do its part. I need those institutions to do their part. We're ready for them when they get here.
But a group of business leaders and higher education advocates are working to change this disturbing trend and bring a nonpartisan voice to the debate. The Missouri Higher Education Partnership was created to be a strong, consistent, and sustained voice of the business community in support of higher education in Jefferson City and around the state of Missouri. Together, we advocate the importance and value of higher education, educate the public and opinion leaders on the economic impact of higher education, and support candidates and elected officials who are pro-higher education.
There is not a statewide organization that is an ambassador or an advocate group for the importance and the value of higher education. So in my opinion, that's the number one need and priority.
By joining the Missouri Higher Education Partnership, you can support our effort to ensure that higher education receives the priority status it once had and allows our state and communities to achieve greater levels of economic prosperity. If we succeed, Missouri will have a better educated and well-trained workforce, new, high-paying jobs, a prosperous economic outlook, and an appropriate tax base to continue investments in the future.